Welcome to the Focus Podcast with Taralee. This is the place where we talk about real life, real relationships, and how to grow through it all. If you're looking for simple mindset shifts, better communication, and deeper connections, you're in the right spot. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Focus Podcast with Taralee, where we explore powerful mindset tools to strengthen your relationships from the inside out. I am your host, Taralee, a certified relationship coach and founder of Peaceful Heart Journey. Whether you're feeling stuck in a relationship or overwhelmed as a parent or disconnected from yourself, you are in the right place. Today's episode is deeply personal and incredibly powerful, and honestly a turning point for many of my clients. I'm going to talk to the person who might be struggling right now in whatever relationship that feels hard to you. So let's get into it. Have you ever asked yourself, why do relationships feel so hard even when I'm doing everything I can to make them work? Let me tell you, you are not alone. Most people I coach come to me feeling exhausted, not from a lack of effort on their part, but from pouring their energy into trying to manage other people's moods or fix miscommunication or avoid any conflict. And yet nothing changes. Why do you think this is? Here's what most people get wrong. And I think that we've been taught to approach relationships completely backwards. We believe that our lovability is up for negotiation, that our value is based on how other people treat us, and that if somebody were to just treat us better, we'd finally feel secure and appreciated and understood. But let me give you a real life example here. I worked with a woman, let's call her Michelle. She was constantly trying to be the perfect wife, and she kept the household spotless and took care of the kids and supported her husband's career. And she never complained, but deep down she felt resentful and unseen. And she believed that if she did enough, her husband would finally value her. And maybe he'd say something like, "You're amazing, I see you, I love you just the way you are." But no matter what she did, that moment never came. And it wasn't because he didn't care, it was because she had made her lovability conditional on his behavior. She was outsourcing her self-worth. And when she finally saw this pattern, everything changed for her. She began to affirm her own value regardless of external validation. And guess what happened? Her husband actually started responding differently, not because she demanded it, but because she stopped needing it to feel whole. Okay, hear me out on this. What if you are already 100% lovable? Like for real, what if not just a nice thought, but a core truth that you can actually trust? Sometimes our biggest breakthroughs don't come from pushing harder. They come from letting go. This idea is summed up perfectly from something psychologist Dr. Carl Rogers once said. He said that the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. This idea seriously changed everything for me. When I stopped trying to earn love and started actually believing I was already worthy of it, everything shifted. I responded differently. I was calmer and clearer and with way more compassion. The truth is, you don't build healthy relationships by trying to control other people. You build them by being grounded in your own unshakable sense of self-worth. And yeah, I won't lie, this shift can feel very uncomfortable at first. But that's exactly what we work through together in my 6-week coaching course. It's called The Art of Unconditional Lovability. It's a step-by-step process that helps you move from self-doubt to real grounded self-worth. It's one-on-one, and so spots are super limited, but if this speaks to you, you can get all the details at peacefulheartjourney.com/relationships. Now, let's talk about one of the sneakiest ways we create emotional pain in our own relationships. It's what my coach, Jody Moore, calls the manual. And this was a game changer for me when I learned about this. See, we all carry around these invisible instruction manuals for the people in our lives. And they sound a little something like this. My partner should tell me he loves me more often. Or my teen should be more grateful and less moody. Or my mom should stop giving me unsolicited advice. These are rules that we write without realizing it, and we often don't even tell the other person that they exist. Then when they don't follow this manual, we feel hurt or disappointed or resentful, and we make it mean something about our worth. If they really cared, then they would do this. But here's the truth. People have agency, and just like we don't want somebody controlling how we show up, it's not our job to control other people. Jody Moore says this quote that I love. She says, "When we rely on others to behave a certain way so we can feel good, we're giving away all of our emotional power." That stuck with me. When you drop the manual, you don't stop caring. You just stop needing them to behave a certain way for you to feel okay. Let me share an example. One of my clients came to me feeling completely drained by his relationship with his father. Every time they talked, his dad would bring up politics or criticize his career choices and offer unsolicited advice. My client had this unspoken manual that his father should be supportive and should respect his boundaries and should show emotional awareness. But every time his dad didn't follow that manual, my client would spiral into frustration and self-doubt. But during our coaching together, my client had a breakthrough. He realized that he'd been trying to control his dad's behavior in order to feel emotionally safe. And he dropped the manual. He stopped needing his dad to change and started deciding how he wanted to show up, regardless of how his dad behaved. He set boundaries, and not as ultimatums, but as acts of self-respect. And while his father didn't change much, his experience of the relationship transformed. He felt more grounded and less reactive and completely empowered. In my coaching course, the Art of Unconditional Lovability, one of the very first breakthroughs that my clients experience is the realization that they've been writing manuals and handing them out like secret rule books. And once they learn how to release these, the emotional freedom they feel is unbelievable. They start responding to life instead of reacting to it, and they begin setting boundaries with clarity instead of control. They discover that who they are without needing to fix anyone else first. And that is when everything changes for them. Okay, so you know Mel Robbins, I love her. She said something that stopped me in my tracks the first time I heard it. She said, "You are not one decision away from being worthy. You already are worthy. You're just one decision away from acting like it." Think about that for a second. We spend much of our lives chasing something, approval or success or perfection, as if one more thing will finally tip the scale and make us feel enough. But worthiness is not a trophy that you earn. It's not a finish line, it's a fact. You are worthy the day you were born. You're worthy when you succeed, and you're still worthy when you fail. The real shift happens when you stop trying to earn worthiness and start living like someone who already has it. So what does that actually look like? It looks like saying no when something doesn't feel aligned. It looks like speaking up even when your voice shakes. And it's taking the job interview even when you don't feel 100% ready. It's looking in the mirror and deciding that I am enough today, not when I lose 10 pounds and not when I finally get promoted, but today. So emotional freedom isn't about becoming someone new. It's about shedding all the ways that you've been taught to doubt who you already are. Because the truth is, waiting to feel worthy is a trap. That feeling, it rarely shows up before the action. You act first and then the confidence follows. It's like Mel Robbins says, you're one decision away. One boundary, one brave move, one act of self-respect. So let me ask you this. What would change if just for today you acted like someone who knew deep down that you are already enough? I had a client recently say this: I didn't just fix my relationship with my husband, I rebuilt one with myself. When she first came to me, she felt frustrated and discouraged, and her husband had grown distant, and every conversation between them felt to her like walking through a minefield. And she thought the problem was communication. She tried everything. She talked calmly and not talking at all, or suggested counseling or reading books, but nothing brought the connection that she longed for. And what we uncovered in coaching was that she didn't actually need her husband to change. She needed to reconnect with herself. Somewhere along the way, she had lost her voice, and she made herself smaller to keep the peace. And in doing so, she had abandoned her own needs and her own desires. And when she began practicing the tools of emotional ownership and self-compassion, she stopped waiting for him to validate her worth. She showed up differently, not from anger, but from grounded clarity. And she spoke honestly and honored her feelings and stopped trying to control how he responded. And the most beautiful part was, as she shifted, so did their dynamic. Her husband became more open and their communication softened. And more importantly, my client stopped tying her happiness to his behavior. She started feeling whole again, and because she had reconnected with herself. This is the power of this work. When you reclaim your emotional responsibility, your entire experience of love transforms. And if you're just starting or curious about some of what I'm sharing here, I want to invite you to take that first step. Head over to my website and grab some of the free resources I've created just for you. One of them is called Unlock the Secret to Unshakable Self-Worth and Relationship Freedom. These are just small steps, but they're powerful ones. Okay, I want to share with you that I just opened enrollment for my private one-on-one coaching course, The Art of Unconditional Lovability. This is a 6-week personalized coaching where we rewire your thoughts and learn real boundaries and practice self-love without conditions. And I've shared some of the real transformations that I've seen using these tools here today. There's only a few spots, and so once they're full, that's it for this round. So head over to peacefulheartjourney.com/relationship and take that first step for yourself, because you deserve it. Okay, let me ask you something. Who are you without needing to be fixed? Not the version of you constantly hustling for approval, and not the one always trying to improve or get it together, but the real you underneath the pressure and the self-doubt and the perfectionism. You know, there's a beautiful line from Dr. Kristen Neff that I love. She's one of the leading voices on self-compassion. She says that with self-compassion, we give ourselves the same kindness and care we give to a good friend. So here's the question: are you being that kind of friend to yourself? Think about it. If your best friend came to you and said, "I'm so behind in life," or "I'm such a mess, I don't know what I'm doing," would you say, "Yeah, you're right, you really should have this figured out by now"? Of course not. You probably would say something like, "Hey, you're doing better than you think. Be kind to yourself. You're not broken, you're just human." But how often do we give that kind of grace to ourselves? Seriously, it's like we're living with this invisible checklist. Fix this, then you'll be lovable, or accomplish that, then you'll be enough. But what if none of that needed to be fixed in the first place? Let me tell you a quick story. There was a woman that I worked with in coaching once, and she spent years in therapy and personal development programs, coaching, and all of it. And it helped, but she always felt like she was doing it from a place of not enough. Like she was a self-improvement project that never got finished. And one day I asked her this. I said, what if you stopped trying to fix yourself? And what if you accepted yourself in the same way you accept all of your friends? All of their flaws, quirks, all of it. And that moment, it was like something had clicked for her. she didn't give up on growing, but she stopped growing from a place of lack. She started building a new identity, one that was rooted in self-respect and not self-repair. That's exactly what we do inside of my course. We build that version of you, the one who is calm because they're no longer driven by panic, and the one who is confident, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust yourself. The one who is grounded because they know their worth isn't up for debate. So let me ask you again, who are you without needing to be fixed? Can you be your own friend today? Can you speak to yourself the way someone who loves you would? Because from that place, real change begins. Not from shame, not from self-criticism, but from compassion. When you learn how to stand in that energy, everything shifts. So let's talk about something that makes a lot of us very uncomfortable: boundaries. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, it's about building bridges between your truth and your peace. Brené Brown said it beautifully. She said, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. And let's be real, for many of us, disappointing others feels terrifying. We've been taught that kindness means self-sacrifice and that being nice means saying yes, even when our bodies are screaming no. But here's the truth. Boundaries aren't about control, they're about clarity. And clarity is kindness. Think of it this way. If someone kept offering you a fake smile and a resentful yes, is that really kindness? Or is it avoidance dressed up as generosity? Let me give you a story. There was a man, we'll call him Marcus, who always said yes to extra work. Every time someone asked him for help, he dropped everything. He thought he was being a team player, but inside he was exhausted and burned out and quietly angry. He wasn't being helpful, he was being a martyr. And one day he finally said, hey, I'm at capacity right now. I want to help, but I need to pass on this. And guess what? The world didn't end. His coworkers actually respected him more, and he gained time and trust. And here's what we often forget. When you set a boundary, you're not rejecting someone. You're respecting both of you. You're saying, I want a healthy relationship, and this is what I need to show up as my best self. Boundaries without guilt sound like this. I care about you, but I need time to recharge. I'm not available for that, but I hope you find the support you need. Or that doesn't work for me right now. I remember a time when my kids were younger and I had asked my sister to babysit for them one day, and I didn't realize at the time, but she was really struggling, and her response to me was amazing, and I respected her for it. She said, that's not something that I can give right now. No long explanations, no apology tour, just truth with love, and I loved her honesty. So take a deep breath and ask yourself this question. Where in life are you trading your peace to keep someone else comfortable? And what would it look like to choose yourself with courage and compassion? There's a lie that has kept so many of us stuck for far too long. Maybe you've even whispered it to yourself, even if just in your thoughts. If I just try harder, they'll finally love me the way that I need. That's a lie. That's a heavy lie. It keeps you hustling for worthiness. It keeps you bending and shrinking and shape-shifting, trying to be lovable enough for someone who may never meet you halfway. But here's the truth. You can't force someone to love you differently by abandoning yourself. And you can't perform your way into real connection. Dr. Harriet Lerner put it very powerfully. She said, intimacy grows when we stop managing the other person and start managing ourselves. So let that sink in for a minute. I'm going to say it again. Intimacy grows when we stop managing the other person and start managing ourselves. True closeness isn't built by micromanaging other people's reactions or constantly adjusting yourself to avoid conflict. It's built by being real, by showing up as your whole self, messy, honest, and unfiltered. So you go first. You lead with truth. Let me tell you about someone, I'll call her Nina. Nina spent years in a relationship where she was always the fixer. She kept thinking, if I just love him better, he'll open up, or if I'm more patient, he'll change. She was exhausted, not from the relationship, but from abandoning herself every day. And one day she asked, what if I stop managing him and start showing up for me? That shift didn't just help her relationship, it helped her come back to herself. Because the moment you stop chasing love, trying to prove your worth, you start drawing in people who truly see and value you. So let's ask the hard question. Where are you still believing that your love has to be earned? And where are you hiding your truth just to keep someone else comfortable? It's not easy, but freedom never is, and it starts here. You stop trying harder for them and start showing up fully for you. This is one of the hardest truths to sit with. What if they never change? What if the person you're in a relationship with, your partner, your parent, your boss, or your friend, never becomes more emotionally available or more self-aware or more of who you wish they could be? It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's also deeply freeing. Dr. John Gottman, the renowned relationship researcher, he discovered that emotional connection isn't built in grand romantic gestures. It's built through what he calls bids for attention. They're the tiny moments. It's when your partner says, hey, look at this, and you choose to turn towards them or not. It's when your child says, will you sit with me, and you decide to pause your scrolling. It's in the everyday, subtle choices to be present, to care, and to see one another. So here's the empowering part. Even if they don't change, you can change the way you show up. You can learn to respond instead of react, and you can stop chasing, just start showing up grounded and clear about who you are. You can give a bid for connection without tying your self-worth to whether or not they catch it. Let me share a real moment. A friend came to me once saying, I've done so much work on myself, but my partner shuts down emotionally. It's like I'm growing and he's frozen. So I asked her this. I said, can you love him without strings attached? Can you set boundaries and still stay open even if he doesn't get it exactly right? And can you stay connected while still protecting your peace? And she did. She started responding calmly instead of pleading, and stopped over-explaining and instead expressed her needs clearly. And she focused on her own peace, not on him finally getting it. And guess what? He noticed. He started turning toward her more, and it was slow and not perfectly, but authentically. Even if he hadn't, her peace would have been worth it. Because here's the thing, your peace does not have to wait for someone else's progress. Your healing isn't on hold until someone else catches up. You go first. You become emotionally available to yourself, and let that be the start of everything changing. So let's talk about what we actually cover inside my course, because this isn't just a surface level mindset work. This is about emotional rewiring and identity shifts and inner freedom. And I'll share with you the whole step by step, week by week. Week 1, we talk about owning your lovability. We strip away the old programming that says you have to earn love, and we reconnect with deep truth. You are lovable right now, not when you're perfect. Week 2, we talk about thought work for emotional freedom. We dive into the stories that you've been believing, stories like I'm too much, or I'll never be chosen, or you'll learn how to notice and question and rewire your thoughts. Week 3, we deep dive into releasing the manual, the secret rule book for how people should act. It's about letting go of control and stepping into acceptance without giving up your standards. Week 4, we talk about boundaries without guilt. This is a hard one for some people to say no with love and choose yourself without fear. It's a game changer for recovering people pleasers. Week 5, we talk about loving without conditions. We explore how to offer love without losing yourself and how to love fully without negotiating your own peace. And week 6, we talk about becoming the most empowered you. And this is where it all clicks. You're no longer trying to be that calm, confident version of you. You just are. It's your new default. Dr. Kristen Neff says that self-compassion provides an island of calm, a refuge from the stormy seas of endless positive and negative self-judgment. And that's what this course is. It's not hype. It's not quick fixes. It's the foundation of a life where you trust yourself deeply and you love yourself unconditionally and learn to navigate relationships from clarity, not just survival. It's deep work. It's life-changing work. And if your soul's been asking for something a little more, then this is the path for you. So let's bring it home here. Close your eyes unless you're driving. Don't do that. Just imagine for a moment. Imagine waking up and not wondering if someone else's mood will decide your day. Imagine walking through your life, not hustling to be chosen, but knowing that you choose you. Imagine looking in the mirror and actually liking who you see. Not because you're flawless, but because you're whole. Brené Brown said it best when she said, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. And that's what this journey is about. It's not about fixing you, not pushing you harder, but walking you home to yourself. So if any part of you felt seen in these past few moments, don't ignore that. This is your nudge. It's your invitation to head over to peacefulheartjourney.com/relationships and grab a spot before they're gone. Give yourself permission to become the version of you who no longer waits for peace because you're living it. Now, I want you to hear this. You are lovable. You don't need to earn it. You just need to stop rejecting it. Thanks for joining me today. If this episode resonated, please share it and review it and check out the free tools at peacefulheartjourney.com. Until next time, keep choosing peace, keep choosing truth, and above all, keep choosing you. Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Focus Podcast. If something stood out or helped you in some way, feel free to share it or leave a quick review. It means a lot. Keep showing up, keep growing, and I'll catch you in the next episode.